This is Blackstone Joe, and you're listening to Slick Talk.
If I say I'm an oil man, you will agree.
There's the stink of oil about him.
Hello and welcome into Slick Talk. I'm your host, Blackstone Joe, and I'm glad you're here. So today's topic came about when I was checking the YouTube comments on a video that we recently put on our channel titled Analyst Reacts, and it's where I was responding to a video that a customer put up about how to get a used oil sample on their car. If you haven't yet, by the way, check out the initial video, which is done by Double Clutch Auto Reviews, and then check out my analyst reaction. Gives a lot of commentary on sampling, what you can do right, and a really entertaining breakdown of a report. But as for the comment in question, what really drew my attention, and the reason I'm here to talk to you all today, is a user with the @Texas Powerman commented, "I wonder how much engine information is in the data you have from all your customers. For example, the Gen 3 Prius engine is well known for having EGR issues that lead to a head gasket replacement being necessary. I wonder if there's data from all the samples for the 2010 to 2015 engines in the database to indicate what was going on and how an oil test might show that something needs to be done physically, or if there's another solution via an additive or such. There are many engines that are known to develop certain problems over time. How much data on these engines is hidden in all the oil samples?" Well, I'm glad to respond to this because not only do we have the data for the engine model in question, and I'm here to break that down, but also this episode is an illustration of exactly the data you can obtain that you can expect to find out when you send in a sample, especially when it comes to contaminants like coolant. So if you're not familiar with the Gen 3 Prius engine, that would be Toyota's 2ZR FXE, an engine type that we've seen a lot of samples from. And just in general, if you aren't familiar with Blackstone or what we do, you can count on a sturdy base for averages when it comes to basically any major manufacturer. If it's one that you're going to see a commercial about, then odds are good we're going to see a lot of samples from it. So a car like the Prius and any engine type they have powering one, it's a safe bet that we have strong averages for a wear comparison, and even better when it comes to contaminants like potassium or sodium that would speak to coolant. You don't even have to worry about averages being there, in that we can tell if there's contamination regardless of how many samples are populating those averages. But in this case, I did want to take a look at how many samples we had seen where there was enough potassium or sodium to make the call on coolant, because if we were seeing a rash of samples where there was so much evidence of coolant it looked like an obvious problem, then that's something we'd want to pass on to the owners and say, hey, this is a common concern, and not only that, we're seeing evidence of it in your engine sample, and that way people are equipped to go about the business of correcting it, keeping that engine on the road. And this is something we go about every day when it comes to taking a look at the data, putting things into consideration, whether or not we need to have a note on file in our system for a particular engine type, because we've noticed that problems are cropping up often enough that customers need to be aware of them if they aren't already, due to a recall or a similar such instance. So when it comes to the Prius specifically and this era, this Gen 3 engine, again, I'm talking about the 2ZR FXE, before I did the deep dive into the data, I didn't really have an assumption that I would find much. This is kind of based on a couple of factors. One is that Toyotas just tend to look pretty darn good in testing. We don't see a lot of concerns when it comes to, be it engine wear or contamination. Most of these motors end up looking pretty good. Toyotas, Hondas, we see a lot of samples from them, and for good reason. People tend to have these cars for a very long time, and we aren't often finding situations where common concerns like coolant contamination are popping up. But again, there's no need to to rely on assumptions or just what I've been used to seeing when I'm looking at samples, because I'm, of course, only one analyst in the building. So why not go to the database and see what we have at large? So when it comes to spotting a head gasket problem in particular, we are going to want to rely on the coolant markers that we have, those being potassium and sodium. Now, unlike other labs or reports I've seen where the mere presence of potassium or sodium would be flagged and then marked as a problem, at Blackstone, we understand that there's more than one source for a lot of the elements we test for, and coolant markers are no different. We understand that if you have a gasoline engine oil that uses sodium, we're going to want to factor in whether or not the brand or blend you're running has sodium in it. And if we're looking at potassium, we want to, of course, acknowledge that it does have some additive explanations as well. Very rare to see it in terms of oil right off the shelf, but if you are putting in another product like Arch Oil or Revex can be popular in some ownership communities, then we could see potassium present too, which is why we want to know if you're running additives, we want to know the oil type you're using. And I bring all this up to say that you can expect a thorough breakdown taking into account what it is you own and what it is you're using before we're going to call a sample positive for coolant contamination. We're even going to look into factors such as wear-in or harmless flux if it's a diesel, in which case you can get potassium from that. But for now, we're mainly going to focus on the Prius engine model that I brought up earlier. And after we took into consideration all the various factors and then made the call for coolant being present, those are the samples I isolated. And I want to see how many of the entire sample population we had marked positive for coolant contamination, because that would help inform how often we're seeing evidence of a problem, such as a blown head gasket, like Texas Powerman initially asked about. So without further ado, what did the numbers show? Well, it turns out that we only called the presence of coolant contamination in 2.7% thereabouts of 2ZR FXE samples. So this is of all the samples we've seen. And again, I stress that this is a strong average file, not an engine type where we're only picking from a handful of samples. We have a very good representation of what's typical for these engines. And with that, we also have a good base to draw from when we talk about the percentage of those samples having coolant, 2.7% of the samples that we're seeing. Now, we're not seeing a sample from every 2ZR FXE on the planet, so there are some caveats that I am willing to consider and that I do think are worth bringing up. One that I covered recently on a couple of Porsche podcasts that I haven't really addressed on this show specifically, but I think it's worthwhile mentioning, is that the samples we are seeing do come from more fastidious owners than most. I think that if you're interested in oil analysis, you probably tend to take pretty good care of your car in general. Another caveat I'd like people to consider is that we aren't necessarily seeing samples from the start of an engine's life to the end of an engine's life. And with that, some people may end up sampling and we tell them everything looks good because it does, but one sample only gives a snapshot of that point on the odometer. So it's possible that maybe problems have cropped up later on, but at the same time, we're seeing samples from a wide range. We're seeing samples that are break-in. We're seeing samples that are past the break-in period. We're seeing samples well over the 100,000 or 200,000 mile mark. So it's not a given that a problem is going to crop up just because it's a high mileage motor or a low mileage motor. And with that, I would stress that if things do look good, it is important to keep up with analysis just in case a problem does develop down the road. But still, when I look at how many samples we've seen and how few of them have coolant, I would at least take that into consideration that it's not a given you're going to run into this issue. And if you are going to end up with coolant in the oil, the benefit of oil analysis is that you're going to usually end up catching it before it's really wreaked a lot of havoc. And if you do have a situation where coolant loss is a factor, we'll let you know how the rest of the motor looks, because that can be very important in deciding how much money you want to put into it, how much you want to devote to maintenance, replacing certain components, doing a complete rebuild. Hopefully you avoid that. But if you have the analysis, you will know whether or not coolant is reaching the crankcase. And if it is, how the rest of the motor seems to be doing in spite of that contaminant being present. In the end, I'd be confident my engine and its head gasket are fine if there's no sign of coolant in testing. And of course, each sample that looks good will give you a fresh perspective on how things are going and if signs are pointing in the right or the wrong direction. Whether you own a 2ZR FXE or not, I think this is the importance of analysis. You don't have to assume you have a problem because you bought a certain model, and if we are seeing signs of one, you'll be better prepared to address it. And keep an eye on the engine's condition while doing so. This was a fun dive into a random model that I hadn't really thought about too much in terms of how often we were seeing a particular contaminant. If you have a model that you're curious if we are seeing high rates of this particular problem or that, not all of them are going to show up in testing, but if it's related to fuel, coolant, excess dirt, or if there's a particular component you want to keep an eye on and we have a wear metal that we can assign to it, that could be a fun exercise depending on what the data shows. If we have a particular problem that we are seeing signs of, we can speak to it. So if you have questions for a given model, wouldn't hurt to send them my way, either by giving us a call or you can send an email to bstone@blackstone-labs.com. Just make sure to have Slick Talk in the subject line, and that way it will get forwarded to me, and then I'll be able to address it on an upcoming podcast. That's all for today's show. Thanks for hanging with me. This is Blackstone Joe signing off.
The Slick Talk podcast is powered by Blackstone Laboratories. If you're ready to start your oil analysis journey, visit blackstone-labs.com to order your free test kit.